might think that getting into the IT field is impossible without a computer science degree, but Tech Coach Ralph is here to prove you wrong. Get ready for some jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into this lucrative industry. Listen up, tech enthusiasts! Are you ready to break through into the IT field, but feel like you need a computer science degree to make it happen? Think again! Tech Coach Ralph has some exclusive, mind-blowing secrets to share with you. Get ready to be blown away by his jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into the tech industry without a computer science degree. So get your notepad ready, because Tech Coach Ralph is going to change your life forever. Buckle up, because you're about to embark on a journey to success in the IT field.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Today is Monday, February 19th, 2024. We are cruising through February. It's like we just got done with January and we are already at February, or we're already almost done with February and into March. Like, we're already starting to plan for March. It's crazy. I mean, February is a shorter month, but it's just going by so fast. Anyhow, if you do not know who I am your host of the Koffee and Kata show, as well as a host of the Tech Coach Ralph channel. I am Tech Coach Ralph, where we are engineered to win. All right, so let's get into the show. I'm monitoring the internet because it's acting very funny. So if you see it getting kind of choppy, I'm trying to get that fixed right now. I'm trying to change internet providers, but apparently in this area there's only one real option. So I'm going to try to figure that out coming soon, how I can get way better internet down here. So we shall see. Anyways, before we get into our news stories, quick announcements. We have our candid conversation coming out today at noon. We're going to talk about being busy. It's already scheduled. And then we have tomorrow night, we're going to be doing Q&A. So definitely want to tune in for that. And I'm going to drop this in the chat right now, because I've mentioned to you about Grammar Hub, and I where do I have it? And I had met over the weekend with the good folks over at Grammar Hub, and we just were hanging out, had a good time. So they have their weekly calls every Monday. So that means they're going to be having it tonight, starting at 6:30 p.m. in their Grammar Hub Discord. So you definitely want to check that out. I'm not sure what the topic is today, but whatever it is going to be very helpful to you. So I would definitely say to go over there and learn more about it. Let me see if I can find the link real quick. Here it goes. So I'm going to drop this in the chat. Highly recommend that if you are looking to increase your skills in tech and you want a group of people who are going in the same direction as you are, it is a wonderful opportunity to learn and grow together, get some great networking opportunities as well. So there it goes in the chat. Click on the link, join the Discord, and tell them that Tech Coach Ralph sent you. I don't get anything out of recommending them, but they are a great group of people who are interested in helping you leveling up, help you with reviewing your resume, interviewing, teaching, working on projects, networking, all that good stuff. So definitely a great group of people to check out. All right. So let's get into it. All right. Okay. So we're going to look at our news, and then we're going to jump into Android Studio so we can continue working on our Flutter code, working on writing some more tests. Okay. So let's go to here and let's put our timer up. Go at 5 minutes, and let's go over here. So the first article of today, we are going to zoom in a little bit. All right. So the first one, Apple is going to be hit with a large EU fine, Europe fine, right? So let's start. Apple will be issued a fine of $539 million from European Commission regulators for stifling competition from Spotify and other music streamers, the Financial Times reports. The penalty, the first the EU has levied against Apple, is actually much less than what was originally on the table, which was close to $40 billion. $40 billion was what's going to be levied against Apple because stifling competition from Spotify and other streamers. Talk about anyway, whatever. The company is accused of advantaging Apple Music by not letting other music streamers apps notify users about ways to sign up for subscriptions that might be cheaper. The fine stems from antitrust probe that started with complaint by Spotify in 2019. Spotify has been highly critical of how Apple runs its app store and how it plans to comply with the new EU regulation that goes into effect next month. EU competition boss Margrethe Vestager has cracked down on big tech, issuing fines to the likes of Google as well. Separately, Bloomberg reports that Apple will have its settlement proposal in the EU's investigation into its tap and pay tech accepted. Right, so that's very interesting. I don't know, this whole thing with maybe the 540 million is worth it for Apple to deal with Europe and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure it is based on what they make, in the trillions. But it just I don't know, the whole if you don't like Apple and the way they do business, then to me it's just like, don't use them, right? There's another option out there. But anyways, remember Amazon was making the Fire phone? No one picked up on that. Why is that? Anyways, let's move on to our next story of the day. All right, so this one says, amid rising prices, shrinking homes. All right, so don't call them tiny homes or tiny houses. The increasing number of subdivision homes around 500 square feet isn't part of a trendy minimalist movement. It's about getting into the housing market for under 300. You're not gonna look. You're not gonna tell me that this little piece of a house right here costs 200,000. All right. Builders are downsizing their projects to maintain affordability amid soaring prices and still high interest rates. Although such homes represent less than 1% of new builds, according to data from Zonda, the Times says they're the future of American housing, or at least a more significant part of it. I want to know how much one of these. Let me see if I can. I don't really like to click off of this, but that's all we get. Oh, okay, fine, whatever. Anyways, I really want to know how much these houses cost because this is crazy. Let's see if there's anybody in here who says anything. I don't see a cost, but we'll table that. We'll do some more research on it in the future. I'm really curious to see how much it costs. Right. So next up on the docket is 2024 the year of cost cutting. I'm gonna say no because everything we can see, like people are spending more and more money as inflation and interest rates, and then they're still getting laid off and stuff like that. But let's read. Despite a strong economic outlook, I mean, who's looking at this, right? Corporate America is serious about cutting costs this year. So they're talking about corporate America. Okay, that makes more sense. CNBC notes, across industries, even profitable companies are focused on reducing expenses to improve their margins and reassure shareholders amid continued inflation. I think regardless, I think you should always be doing that. Looking to be as profitable as possible, reducing expenses, improving margins. It's just the smart thing to do. The Wall Street Journal cites interest rates, diminishing pricing power, and geopolitical threats to supply chains as other reasons behind the belt tightening. There's also safety in numbers. CNBC says Nike is just the latest to announce a major layoff, and other big names taking measures like closing stores at Macy's and cutting routes JetBlue. Recent earnings calls refer to layoffs with the highest frequency since the second quarter of 2020, according to a Bloomberg analysis. And the second quarter of 2020, I believe that's at the height of the pandemic when everyone was getting laid off and they were also getting like PP loans to back them up. Okay. So next up we have degrees not required, but it helps. Okay. So in recent years, major companies, including Delta, Google, and Walmart, have done away with degree requirements for many jobs. But that doesn't necessarily mean they're hiring more people who didn't go to college. Like I always tell you guys, the degree is not a requirement, but it certainly is very, very helpful. Like every job that we've looked at, it always says, none of them say like, oh, I need a boot camp certification or a Udemy course. They always say a college degree, but I always say the college degree itself is not, it's not enough because a lot of times people who go to college, they don't even know how to do a lot of the stuff in the tech. They have no practical experience. So you need to supplement like, and one of the people that I'm coaching, young guy, 20 years old in college, right? And having trouble like grasping what they're trying to teach in college. I'm like, okay, let's take these courses and do them in parallel. And now he's at the point where he can do the courses on Udemy, and he doesn't have to focus on what the books and stuff in school because Udemy is teaching him enough so he can actually pass the coursework and he understands it so much better. So it's not if else. It's an and. You need to put together. It's not an or, but it's an and. Put them together so because you can put yourself in the best position to win. All right. So it says, but a new analysis from the Burning Glass Institute and Harvard Business School found that just 1 in 700 workers hired last year benefited from looser educational requirements. See what I mean? 1 in 700. So when you guys are like desperate to cling to these, like, oh, I don't want to go to school and stuff like that. Boot camp this and stuff like that. Online courses, Coursera, Udemy, they help. Trust me, they give you the information that you need, but you need to put yourself in the best position to win. All right. Just going to repeat one more time. The best position to win. Okay. So it says one reason for the less than stellar results, automated candidate screening tools that favor college grads suggest the researchers. Other workforce experts say many hiring managers are simply resistant to change. That is true. You have to play the game. Almost 2/3 of the U.S. population over the age of 25 doesn't have a college degree, per the journal. College enrollment rates dropped from 70% in 2009, a peak to 62% in 2022, according to the Labor Department. All right, that's just it's such a tricky field, right? To navigate when it comes to. But I always say, put yourself in the best position to win. All right. And lastly, we have fewer Americans feel middle class. Fewer Americans feel middle class. An overwhelming number of Americans do not have the financial security to achieve a middle class lifestyle, per a poll by the Washington Post. In fact, just over a third of U.S. adults met the definition. About 9 in 10 checked off all 6 markers of being middle class, including a secure job, ability to save money, having health insurance, and being able to retire comfortably. I mean, define comfortably, of course. Only about half of middle-income Americans over 35 said they felt the last goal could be reached. Facts. Retirement was cited as Americans' biggest financial concern, according to a Gallup poll last spring. Retirement planning now is to save like hell and hope you don't live too long, per Ben Harris at Brookings. Saving for retirement has become more important following the shift from defined pension plans to individual retirement accounts, according to a senior fellow at the Stanford Institute of Economic Policy Research. All right. So that is our news stories for today. Hopefully you found that helpful and informative. I was hoping that they had, oh, by the way, OpenAI is valued at 80 billion, right? I was hoping that they had the numbers to watch for this week, but I did not see that. But let's just read through this real quick, right? Numbers. Oh, there goes numbers to watch this week, right? Let's take a quick look at that. Numbers to watch this week. Inflation is likely to stay in the spotlight this week as the Federal Reserve publishes minutes of the last meeting when it left interest rates unchanged. The minutes to be released Wednesday, the minutes to be released Wednesday may provide clues as to the central bank's expectation around price growth and borrowing costs. Reports last week showed continued stickiness around both consumer and producer prices in January, dimming hopes that the Fed will lower rates anytime soon. And it has raised them 11 times since March 2022 to tamp down inflation. All right. So just remember this. Remember this. If they start to tell you that inflation has gone down in the last 6 months, just remember that since March of 2022, it went up 11 times. So don't get fooled by the okie doke, all right? See it for what it is, all right? So, and then Monday, the markets are closed for President's Day. Wednesday, the Federal Open Market Committee. So Wednesday, February 21st, the Federal Market Committee will release the minutes from its last policy setting meeting held in January. The minutes can potentially provide insight into future monetary policy. Thursday, February 22nd, the U.S. Department of Labor will release initial jobless claims for previous week. The report, a proxy of layoffs, tracks the number of people filing for unemployment benefits. And lastly, the National Association of Realtors will release its monthly report measuring the numbers of existing homes sold in January, right? So that's our numbers for this week. So just running down this real quick. We read that Gen Z looks for mentorship at work. Oh, we should have read that one. Maybe on Wednesday. OpenAI value at 80 billion. We read this one. I'm getting more women into leadership amid rising prices, shrinking homes. We read that one. Major airlines overtake discounters and degrees. We read that one. And Goldman CEO awarded 24% pay hike. Shout out to him. All right, let's jump back to our full screen, and we have. Put that back up. All right. So now we are going to be looking at our Flutter implementation. All right. So like I said, we're going to be focused on testing writing tests for the widgets. We have some already unit tests for the logic. So that's the goal. Let's put on a 20-minute on the clock, and let's just jump into that. All right. So let's go. And like I said, we're going to be focused on pretty much. It's like they're not UI tests; they're like unit tests for the widgets. So they're called widget tests, right? So they're not actual unit tests. But anyways, what we'll do is we'll look at the one that I wrote on Friday after we got off. Like we were trying to figure it out. We did figure it out. I'll explain to you how it went, and then we can go from there. Okay, so let's do that. All right, let me see if I can zoom in a bit. I always forget the command to zoom in. Okay. So we wrote this widget test on Friday. So I found out how we can target. Remember, like I was saying, like I didn't like the way that it just, does this exist or not, right? And I wanted to be able to target the actual element, for lack of a better term, that I'm using. So what I did was I used the app header key, right? So if we look at another thing I had to do, right? I moved the whole material UI into here, right? Because now I can target the title, I can target all of this stuff, right? Which is something that I wanted to do. So I could better test it, instead of having partial, the material UI being on the outside of it and then only having starting from the list view inside. I just moved everything to the inside, and now I can go into targeting. The reason that I had it the other way, because I thought I had to do this, I had to do it that way in order to target my, like, to test it better. But I think it was the other way around. So we're just learning as we go along, and it's been a great learning experience. But let me break this down to you real quick, right? Um, so this test right here, right? Let's see. So this is an old one, so I'm not even gonna I'm gonna redo this one anyways. But let's talk about this one, right? Validate calculator hourly value header is formatted properly. So what I wanted to do on this one is make sure that, so this one is like just a header, right? Wish we could show it so I can get a screenshot. Give me a second. That way, giving you a visual of what we're working with, you can get a better idea of what I'm testing. Okay. So, all right. So in the first test, it says it's not the right screenshot. Okay. So if we're looking at this, calculate your hourly value. Why is that? Oh, that's interesting. It says text. All right. So calculate your hourly value, right? So we're saying, all right, we're going to find. We're going to find. So I added the app header to the calculate your hourly value as a key, right? So if we look over here, we have the key for app headers, and what we're going to do, we're just going to continue adding more keys so that we can easily identify certain sections in the app, right? So I have this app header here, and I'm saying that so I'm setting a variable for the app header to find it by the key, which is app header, and evaluate it as a single widget and interpret that widget as text, right? So you see how we have this as text. So I want it to the widget to be as text. Now I'm saying expect the app header title, the data that's in it, which would be like the text, to say calculate your hourly value, right? So this has to match. And then I'm saying expect the app header title, the alignment to be centered, right? And that matches. And then I'm saying the color to be black, right? So there we go. And the reason that this question mark is here is because the color the property color can be unconditionally can't be unconditionally accessed because the receiver can be null. So that's why they say you replace the dot with the period with a question mark period in the invocation. So we did that, and here we are. So now that works. So if we were to run this test, right? When you run that test, it's going to like that that tester pump widget is going to load the time cost calculator app widget. And then once it runs, give it a second, it's running, and it passes, right? So let's change this to like blue, for instance, right? And now let's run it again. Now it should fail, but let's see. There we go. All right. So, and this is what we want, because if, especially like in mobile designing, we want we in our mobile development. I mean, even in our web development, we want to be very strict into like the restrictions and the requirements that we're setting. So it expected a so our expectation was that we're going to get a color of blue, but actually the color is black, right? Which is because that's what we have here. So that's what the testing is. So now let's say we have our test, and then somehow we change this. So let's say we have it like this, right? We're expecting black. And we actually, so someone is doing development and they make an update, and they meant to change the color here, but they change it here to red, right? And then we run our test. We run our test, and we have a problem, because the color that we're expecting is black, but the actual color that we got was a red color, So now we have to go back and investigate, and it tells you where it failed, and then it also does it tell you? It doesn't, but that means like we're here, and it tells us it failed here. So now we have to go back and figure out what's going on here. Oh, this is the mistake that I made. Let me change it back to black. And let me go back to what I really want to change, and make those modifications, right? So that is the that's pretty cool. So that's how the like that's what we're seeing here with the widget testing, right? So we have this one widget. So then I did another test where I did testing the form input being passed to the formula, right? So I have a key here for key total annual income input. So what I can also do, I can just copy this key right here, because let's say I need to find it in this long thing over here in all this code, which we are going to refactor this code to make it a lot nicer, a lot cleaner, separate the different widgets and have them called in. But that's going to be to come. But I can just search for this key, and boom, there goes the key that we are looking for, right? So what we have is, so test form input being passed. We could do, so this one right here, it's about testing the input that's being passed, but we could also do test that says, all right, what is the label, and everything like that. So let's see what we can do, right? Let's see what we can do. So, all right. So first and foremost, what this is doing, before we add anything to it, right? Here's what I want to show what's going on. So we're saying, let's pull up the screenshots again. So we're saying we are going to be passing in the user income, right? We're going to be passing in 62,000 into this field right here, right? And when an input is done on the yearly income field, right? So we're saying, all right, find this, and we're going to enter the text on this input total annual income field, right? This one right here. And we're going to be converting this integer into a string, the 62,000 into a string. And now we have to, this variable for entered user hourly is the input total annual income field. Evaluate that as a single widget of the text form field. So if we look at over here, text form field, that's how we're evaluating it. And we're saying, this is going to be a string. So the backend logic that we have, or no, not the backend logic, but so we created this format currency with no decimals, right? Because we're going to be comparing what we enter versus what gets put out to us. So we're saying we're using the time cost calculator formula, right, for the get yearly user income, which we have unit tests for, right? So if we go over here, right? So there goes our formula. Wait, where are we? Time cost formula, right? How do we get here? So, okay, let's do this. Get yearly user income, and what that one does is it just passes the whatever you input in, it returns it back to you, right? Get the yearly income, and what we have going on here is so we're going to be formatting the currency with no decimals so that it can show up to us like this, right? So when we pass in 62,000, it's going to take this number right here and it's going to enter that number into the field as a string. And now it's going to take what you have in there, right? And it's going to make sure that the format, right, it's going to be passing in the user income that we have up there to get, so here it's going to get the format of, like, it's going to do the calculation to return the 62,000 and it's going to format it with no decimals. And what we're verifying here is the value that is in that field, right? The user field. No, so as text, other than the controller, right? You're making sure that it has, you're making sure that it is the same, like it's formatted correctly, right? So let's run it real quick. It's hard to explain without you actually seeing it, right? But let's run it real quick. All right, so it passed, and because we have, because we have, because we have this right here, right? This is what's being printed out over here, but it passes because, let me see if I can start something up to show you. The visual is going to be a lot better to explain it. All right, so if I find simulator, see if I can get a simulator started real quick so you can see what's actually being tested. And for me, all right, so simulator doesn't want to boot, so we're gonna have to do without it today, right? But basically, it's verifying that if we pull up the it's basically verifying that when you enter like 5 million without like any, like, because you're on the app, you're not putting in the dollar sign, you're not putting in the commas, you're just putting in like that whole 5 million. Like we have the $62,000 here, right? The 62,000 here. and it's passing this value into that field like we would normally type it out, and then it's looking to see on that field, right, that on this field that it's formatted in this way, you know? So that is the goal. Um and that passes, right? If let's say we had this as format currency and we run that, and this will probably be a better visualization for you if I can find where. Let's run that test, right? Maybe like maybe when you see like when the format currency is a standard 2 decimal places, we should be able to see the failure to right. So all right, there you go, right? So it expected 62,000 with 2 decimal places, but it found 62,000 without the decimal places because that's how we have it formatted here to let me show you where. In here we have it like we're saying we're not using any additional decimal places, right? So so right here, currency converter, decimal digitals 0, and the symbol that we're using is a $sign, right? And that's why it is format like, and that's why this would have failed over here, right? So and that's why like writing the test based on the acceptance criteria is always gonna, for me at least, it's always gonna be like my main focus, in order to get things to be done a little bit better, right? So let's fix this. Let's change it back to format currency with no decimals. And so that should be good, right? So next up, and we could also like add some tests to like verify that the label text is correct and stuff like that. But let's see what the next one we have coming up, right? So enter test entering yearly income with decimals should not have any decimals. So okay, so if we do this, right? Time is almost up, but what this is saying is like we're going to, so this is like a negative test, right?
Lunch break.
This is a negative test. It's going to say like if we tried, I don't even know if it's going to be possible to enter this, but let's say we enter this, right? We should get this, right? And I think we can try it real quick, because we already have the test up here. So let's give that a try. So we're gonna do. Let me minimize it so we can see up here a little bit better, right? So we're gonna say await tester.pump widget. Are we missing something up here? Tester. Pump widget. Time cost calc. And we are going to do this one again. And we're going to say this one. We're saying enter text, and we're going to be using this one. And we're going to say this again, like here. Pass the value in the value entered income field. So here we're going to say I think we have to leave this one as user income because we won't even be able to pass this value. We'd get an error if we tried to pass this value because this is requiring an integer. This one is a float or a number. So let's leave it as that. And then our expected result would be it's gonna be curious to see, right? Because we're passing we're passing a number with decimals, and I'm really not sure what's gonna happen, right? Because that's what happens when you write the code before you write the test. Because now you're like now I'm at the whim of what's gonna happen instead of like writing the test first to make it work the way that I want it to work. Now it works a particular way that I'm not exactly sure what's gonna happen, and that's why I always try to train myself to work in a test driven environment. So let's see. Let's run it and see. Whatever happens, happens at this point. And I'm not even sure if this test is really is. I'm not even sure if I should be putting this here, but I think I should because that should be the results that we get. And we're comparing values stored from input field versus what is actually on the entered user hourly. What is that? Be yearly, not hourly. Let's fix that real quick. Should be yearly. There we go. And this should be fixed as well. We could probably extract that method at some point. Or that variable, make it like more global. All right, so let's run this. Let's see what we get. I have no idea what we're about to get right here, but it should be fun. So let's see what happens here. Why did it fail? So you see what happened? By trying to enter with the decimals that was not accepted, right? It took it as 823045 because it just wouldn't let you enter a decimal in the first place. So, I guess the question is, how would we handle that, right? Let me pull up the app real quick. Like I said, I hadn't because I didn't have tests written first. I wasn't sure what to actually expect. Let me see. So then maybe we can do something like if someone tries to type in a decimal, then we can like maybe put like some type of message that we're only accepting whole numbers or something like that. I don't know, but that's going to be something for us to see. But yeah, but you see, writing the test, we're able to catch because our expectation was to have 82,300. We actually had 8,230 and $45, right? So that's the and differ at offset 2, right? So showing us the differences. So input from user and expected are not equal, and it gives us a good breakdown of what's going on. So that's something for us to consider, but very good test that we ended up writing here. And we're gonna write. So we have all these other tests that we're gonna get through to make sure that things are working correctly and stuff like that. All right. So just wanted to share that. Let's go back to our full screen. And we are done for today. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully that you found the news informative and hopefully, oh, wait 1 second, just about to wrap up, but guess who we have in the chat?
Good guy.
What's up, good guy? Good guy says maybe use regex to clean any special characters. Well, and that's what I'm doing, right? So and that's why I'll show you this real quick, right? Good point. Good point. Very good point, right? So over here, where does it take the input? On the input. Let's me see if I can find it. It is taking it from here, right? So it is using regex. It's saying if you get a comma to get rid of it, and if you and it's just not I'm not like it's not taking the decimals. Something in this regex here is stripping it of all of that, right? So yeah, it's not accepting any like decimals or anything like that. So like when a person is using it, they would be able to see that like it's not taking the decimals, but maybe I can like put some type of something that like if you do press a like on top of a decimal that some type of message that lets them know that we're not like decimals don't work. So to account for that, right? But that's what it's doing somewhere in here. Like it's taking the commas out and actually no. Here is after you actually entered the number, right? Here is where it is saying, okay, so here is saying like when you enter the number, convert it to currency and don't take in any decimal places, right? So, and then the symbol to put is the dollar sign, right? So it's adding the commas and stuff like that. And then here it's stripping the commas. So that's what's going on over here. About to get an alarm in just a second. Hold on. So that's what's going on over here, right? So maybe there's a better way to notify people that you like there's no and like you're not gonna be able to like actually press a decimal. So if they do press a decimal, it gives them some type of warning or something like that. I don't know, but we'll think about that. But just the main purpose is the test was able to catch like if you do try to put in a decimal and you're not aware of it and it ends up like putting like inflating the number. Our test is saying that like if they try to pass it, here's what's gonna happen. So great. So our test is working as we wanted it to work, and it did catch a potential bug, and we just need to account for that in a better way. Okay. So that being said, we are going to wrap up. Thank you for that amazing insight as always, good guy, and thank you for being here as well. So we're gonna wrap up. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Like I said, we have Candid Conversations at noon today, and there is a new released Patreon video about getting ready to work in an agile environment. I'm giving you the resources because we are going to be ending up doing a video or a live stream, something to that extent, on how to get into how to work in your personal life in an agile environment. That's going to be a Patreon member exclusive. So so look out for that. But in the Patreon, a new video giving you the tools and the resources you need to get prepared for that. All right. That being said, we are going to wrap up. Tomorrow night, we're going to be going live with Q&A. So check out the Patreon, check out the Candid Conversations, check out the Q&A tomorrow. See you guys back here as well on Wednesday morning. If you haven't done so already, like, share, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you can know every time that we go live. And if you need one-on-one coaching with me, go ahead and check out www.techcoachralph.dev and get, level up your skills, level up your technical career. Okay. On that note, this is Tech Coach Ralph signing off, and have a wonderful, wonderful Monday as well as a wonderful, wonderful week.
You might think that getting into the IT field is impossible without a computer science degree, but Tech Coach Ralph is here to prove you wrong. Get ready for some jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into this lucrative industry. Listen up, tech enthusiasts! Are you ready to break through into the IT field, but feel like you need a computer science degree to make it happen? Think again. Tech Coach Ralph has some exclusive, mind-blowing secrets to share with you. Get ready to be blown away by his jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into the tech industry without a computer science degree. So get your notepad ready, because Tech Coach Ralph is going to change your life forever. Buckle up, because you're about to embark on a journey to success in the IT field.